Here we are.
It's showtime.
Season 3. I feel that we maybe...
It was like season 7 at this point.
Feels that we may have skipped the season. Episode 1. We've been cooking. So today we want to show you a tool called FP, Forward Planning.
Not functional programming.
Not functional programming.
Not floating point.
Not floating point.
No.
Well, it can be whatever you want it to be. Which is an agent native issue tracking system consisting of a CLI and a Mac app. Why have we built this? What did we notice ourselves, I think, during our own late night Claude sessions?
It started off as you work with Claude with plans most of the time. I mean, the general advice is use a plan. You want the plan to persist over a sort of series of sessions, so it's not just in memory. But the problem with a classic Markdown file, which is sort of what I've been using for a long time, is that one, it litters the repo. You will get a lot of them, and they will often go out of date.
Yeah.
And so for me, the most important was actually another thing, which is I don't always pre-plan everything, and I want to insert things in the middle. And it's hard to insert things in the middle when it's a Markdown document.
Yeah. What about you, Brett?
I started working on this because you guys were working on this, and I was like, oh, that seems pretty cool. And then pretty quickly, even in the very, very early prototype, it became something I was using every single day and just worked its way into my workflow very, very well.
Yeah.
And I found myself, it's one of those things that's like I keep talking about how we all have coping mechanisms for the limitations of Claude Code or any sort of agent harness. Which is, sessions are limited, context is limited, certain mistakes are made repeatedly, and we start putting Band-Aids all over or inventing our own systems. And it turns out that a task manager like CLI is an extremely handy utility belt for you to solve all those problems more cleanly.
Agents do like CLIs.
Agents love CLIs.
As a start, right? Versus perhaps using an MCP server from an issue management system.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, I can use a CLI. Initially, this was just a CLI tool that both myself and Claude would use, and that makes it a shared surface that's a lot easier to navigate. Like, I can't make tool calls myself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a interface shape for that personally.
Yeah.
So let's show it in action. Maybe skipping ahead a little bit, like what's the effect been on me and my workflow is like I've been, as I like to say, crunching through issues. Like
I love that phrase.
Yeah, Claude has been repeating it back to me now. So I, create these epics, bunch of sub issues, and I just crunch through them and go on to the next. And yeah, Claude's been now asking me, shall I just crunch through the issues?
Shall I crunch these, sir?
It's like, sure thing. It's been a very productive way to build out new features and new functionality without the agent going off piste or off the rails. At high speed. So what do we have? We have a CLI.
We have a CLI that, again, both you and agent can run, and it's quite simple. It has a CRUD to create issues, create comments. A meaningful distinction, I think, for issues is that we think of issues as specs. They're often quite detailed. They're not just a title of do a thing, but they include they'll usually be something that you create after a research session. So if you sort of spin it up in a Claude session, it comes with a Claude Code plugin, that it has 3 skills that can be invoked as commands and that prescribe a certain sort of soft workflow, which is that you plan, then you implement, and then you review. So planning is the bit that you do after a bit of having Claude go through.
Say you want to build like some kind of off layer, you let
Yeah.
Claude brainstorm a bit through that, and then you say, now plan this feature, and it will spec out maybe the parent issue and a bunch of sub issues to get that done.
Yeah. And you can follow that in the CLI if you like, but as you can see, this is quite long, which is why we built a Mac app. So this is an example issue that I've been running in progress for another feature that we'll show at the tail end of this. And it's a pretty simple thing, but it was worth breaking down into multiple parts. And the immediate thing that you notice that issues can be nested, which is part of this thing that makes this whole thing composable, which is you can have a high overview goal at the top level issue, and then you can break it down into smaller components inside of it, which makes it easier for you, for Claude and for yourself to track the progress on it. And I mean, as always, like insert discoveries in the middle and keep track of the progress that way.
Yeah.
I will, not to go off the rails too much, but one benefit of that approach is that you set the scope quite early for a large bout of work. And Claude has been a little bit my coach on certain PRs and branches when I'm like I usually start with okay, read the epic. For any new task, I'm like, read the epic, it has what we want to achieve. And then as I tackle new things, it will remind me if I'm scope creeping, which is pretty fun. So if I'm trying to weasel in a fix somewhere else, it's kind of like, by the way, this isn't what we agreed to be working on, which I thought was kind of a nice side effect.
Be like, it's a phase 2.
Yeah, go to phase, love phases.
Yeah,
Claude loves phases.
Yeah. So a issue is effectively what you would normally have in a Markdown doc, and the description can be a smaller one, or it can have a lot more detail. I find I like to encourage Claude to include detail, include files, so that any sort of a subsequent issue that even subsequent session that even if it starts from a clean context can quickly pick up pace from where it is, and you get a lot more bang for the buck in your context window.
Yeah.
There's a comments functionality which is both for you and for Claude as well, so you can leave comments on the spec as when it's done as a way to iterate over it, or as we've now started to experiment, encourage Claude to leave progress updates using hooks and so on. So that's the planning and the implementation part of this. And
say it's written some code now.
Yeah, so this
is in progress.
This feature is done. If we switch over into our terminal view, I could, open up a diff and just sort of look through it, but it's a lot of code. And this is a relatively small feature, but it's already something I've noticed is I don't necessarily want to see the code. I want Claude to prove that it did the thing for me.
Yeah.
Which is why we built the review functionality into this. This is not the right issue that I selected. This one. So we can see that the parent issue has some changes attached. So it gives you an indication here. And then we can open up into the review. And the review gives us the full changes. But we also have functionality for Claude to effectively a free canvas to tell the story, basically. And this is a little bit different from the classic code review by agents that just sort of looks through it and tells you what's wrong.
Yeah.
But this is more Claude educating you what it did and walking you through the model of this.
Yeah. The thought process, changes made, files touched.
Exactly.
And not in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
Where it spits it out at the end of a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always found those very useful actually,
Yeah.
but they get lost in the noise.
Yeah, they
and
get
if you have
totally
moles,
lost.
and they are usually the highest signal part in the session, where you get to see like, okay, what is the model of this solution that we've settled on. And yeah, so this is a, right now it can include text and diffs, so it can tell you the story of how it wrote the code. I can fold the diffs so that they're we can see the overall structure. We can see the overall changes by looking through the headings, and then we can, at the tail end of it, we can look through all of the files if we want and sort of see what the changes have been done. The final part in this is that you can also add comments, and you can add them to either specific lines if you want. So I can insert and ask Claude to make changes about specific parts, or if I feel like it went not in the wrong direction, not in terms of the code, but in terms of the approach, I can kind of comment on that, and this will get picked up.
Yeah, so you would beam back the comments, feedback to Claude, and it would incorporate them.
Yeah, those comments get attached back to the same issue, and you can tell Claude to pick those up.
Cool. All right, so that was FP at a glance. More to come. Stay tuned.
Say this is more like the season trailer.
Yeah, it's a trailer.
Everything. This is
It's a yes.
like when the first episode. Yeah.
What?
It's a pilot. That's the pilot?
No.
Is that what's pilot?
No, it's you watch the first episode, and then at the end of the episode,
they kind of give you
this season in.
Oh, right.
Like
Call
what's
My
to
Agent.
come.
And what's to come? A lot.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.